Hi, it's Joe Mazumdar of Exploration Insights at the September 2021 edition of the Virtual Metals Investment Forum and the Q&A session. And today joining me is Al Fabbro, President, CEO, and Director of Midnight Sun Mining, which has got ticker MMA on the venture. Al, how's it going?
Good, Joe.
So Al is speaking to me from Cairo. You know, if the Wi-Fi is a bit skippy in that, we all understand. People are getting back to traveling. So in Africa, Midnight Sun is basically focused on a huge land package. We're talking 500 square kilometers in Zambia in the Copperbelt. And interestingly enough, it's in just southwest of the Kansanshi mine, a copper mine, where First Quantum has built a concentrator, has built a smelting facility, you know, to basically extract this 1 billion tons of 0.7, 0.8% copper. So given where, you know, your land package is and what you're, you know, just next to, how did you acquire such a large land package in a prospective part of the copper belt, you know, right next to First Quantum?
Well, in 2007, the Zambian government made a decision that a lot of the companies that were holding ground in Zambia were not exploring actively. They were just sitting on it. And they made about 4 of the seniors drop a lot of their exploration ground. So First Quantum had to make some decisions. So they thought they could drop it and then pick it up at a later date. And our joint venture partner, Cam Schwen, a Chinese company, they picked it up in 2007. They did some work on it till about 2012 under the Beijing initiative to do grassroots exploration for key metals in third world countries. And when that program got dropped in 2012, our friend had a lot of holding costs. He had 75 properties in 5 different African nations, and the holding costs were killing him. So he asked us to come over there, evaluate his 75 properties. And for doing such, we got first pick of the litter to do a deal on. And so we sent 6 geos over there. They chopped about 60 properties immediately, and all 6 agreed that this was the best land package and prospective ground. And we did a deal with him to earn in on 60% of it.
Okay, so right now, Midnight Sun, through those actions, has 80.65% of these, what you call the Solwezi claims. And so once you got them, you basically shopped it to potential partners. And so I guess the question would be to, as investors, you know, why not do it yourself versus going with a partner?
Well, we did do it ourselves for about 5 campaigns, and the biggest problem we had was continuity. We'd get really good hits. Think we have it figured out, and then we'd get a miss right where we thought we had a hit. And then, strangely enough, we'd get a hit where we thought we'd get a miss. And it was obviously more complicated than we thought. It's under about 50 meters of cover. We had just completed a big geophysical program, and we were going to have to go back for market for drilling. We were about 8 to 10 cents. I had an offer on the table for $2.5 million. And at the same time, Rio Tinto came to us and says, what will it take to do a deal with us? So I wrote them a deal that I thought my guys could live with and that Rio Tinto could live with. And it's pretty much the deal that was done eventually.
So Rio Tinto, from what I understand, identified this land package because they were doing a big regional survey of the Zambian Copperbelt. Is that right?
The whole country, actually. They did regional. They were going to go as far as doing a huge seismic program in the country, but they dropped that eventually for logistical reasons.
Okay, and given the size of the land package and that you're undercover, probably these big regional surveys and a lot of hit and miss would be what you would be facing, which you did face with your 5 campaigns, and hence the idea is to do it with a more committed exploration program. And I guess they're right now in the stage 1 part of the earn-in?
Yeah, the deal was structured in 3 ways. They had a due diligence period where they had to spend $3 million US. And they had 2 years to do that. They did that in 3 months or 4 months. They were quite active with geophysics. And then they had to pay us $1 million US, and that would start a 4-year program where they had to spend $16 million US. And if they completed that part of the program, they would earn 51%. And then they would have 2 years to earn an additional 14% by spending $14 million, and another 2 years to spend another $10 million to get to 75%. And 75 was their threshold. They needed that, or there was no deal.
So out of that, I think 16 million to get 51% over 4 years. The current program in 2021 is that they're spending a little bit over $3 million. Is that correct?
Yeah, there'll be about 3.5 million this year, and it's a loose figure for them. This is the first campaign that they're actually going after specific targets on the property, as opposed to doing regional geology and prepping themselves for this campaign. So. Their head office said that it's 3 million minimum, but we can triple that without going back to corporate.
Okay, so what are they actually doing for this 2021 field season, and so how and what kind of news flows could investors or potential investors expect?
They're going after 2 main targets. They're going after Dumbwa, which is a 20-kilometer soil anomaly that runs up to 0.8 in soils. It's
0.8% copper.
Yeah, it's ore grade in soils and spots of this thing, but we've never been able to explain it. Our best hit on the area was maybe 15 meters of 0.7 oxide. Again, we were trying to hang an oxide resource together, and it just didn't hang together. First Quantum had the ground for a while, did limited drilling on it. Their best hole was 16 meters of 1.5%, or 1.25%. And everyone sort of, it flips flops back and forth conceptually, whether it's another Lumwana or not. Rio Tinto came through on a tour 3 years ago with the Lumwana idea. Their guys sort of killed it by logging the core and stuff. But recent results from the geophysics and stuff have sort of gone back to the Lumwana model, and they've got some ideas. So they're going to commit 5,000 meters of drilling on that in 4 different target areas to see if the Lumwana target holds up. And Lumwana's big, right? It's about 800 million tons of 0.7 or 0.8, but it's always been a controversial mine because Barrick paid like $7 billion in an acquisition for it, and it never turned out to be the granddaddy of them all. It sort of turned out to be a middling deposit for what they paid.
Right. Okay. But from what I understand, there's several different types of targets given the size of the land package and deposit potential models. That
like Dumbwa is like a Lumwana target. B2 is a classic Copperbelt or shale deposit, and the 22 zone is like a Sanchi style target.
Okay.
So those are the 3 main targets.
So, but for Rio Tinto to be happy, I mean, this has got to be quite a big target, right? That it's prospective for big targets, but what do you think that they would need to find for them to be happy?
Well, that's the question we discussed. We were negotiating points on the deal, and I said, well, let's stop a bit and let's see if we're all together philosophically on this thing. Because if we're not, then there's no point continuing. I asked him, what do you guys think we could? If you guys got your best case scenario, what are you looking for? And he said, $1 billion to 1%, right? So that's 20 billion pounds that contain copper. And I think they'd be a little happy. They'd be happy with maybe 10 billion, but I don't think they want to go much lower than that. They do seem to have a philosophy that small mines tend to make a small mining company eventually. So they're looking for big deposits.
But I guess what's handy here, because I mean, you don't have the partnership with First Quantum, is that it doesn't need to be a standalone. So if it's not big enough for Rio Tinto, there's the potential that it could feed the big complex that is Kansanshi.
Absolutely. Anything that gets to moderate size at all with decent economics would just be mined and then processed at Kasachi. And First Quantum's made no bones about it. They would buy anything that didn't fit Rio Tinto's parameters.
Okay, so just to round this off, so in terms of the next significant catalyst, I guess it would be results from this 2021 program, and in terms of news releases, because Rio Tinto's the operator, how do you expect I guess the frequency, and how's the news release and the news flow going to work for you?
We'll get monthly reports, and anything that is deemed material by our standards, they have to release to us immediately.
Okay.
So a spectacular hole would have to be released immediately.
So I guess when would the next big release be? Is that like a October, November, given?
End of October, towards the middle of November. They're probably halfway through their Dubois program now. Another drill's en route to Me2 as we speak. So there should be there should be two sort of different flows, one from Dubois stop, and then one from Me2 stop. And then by that time, we'll be through November. Rainy season's 3 months. So December, January, February, usually most companies don't explore in that. We tried 1 year and we tipped the rig and we decided never to do that again. So.
Okay.
The rain is spectacular.
All right, Al, we'll leave you to it and get back to your business in Cairo and then on to other parts of Africa. So that's it for me, Joe Mazumdar, Exploration Insights with the President, CEO, Director of Midnight Sun Mining, talking about copper in the Zambian Copperbelt. Thanks a lot, Al.
Thanks, Joe. Take care.